Alright guys, welcome to another video for Anatomy and Physiology. In this lecture video, we're taking a look at the sympathetic nervous system. In the previous video, we looked at the parasympathetic, that's rest and digest. So that's basically your body working at a normal capacity. So everything's cool. You're just relaxing, you're chilling, doing homework, talking, conversing. And then all of a sudden, a grizzly bear walks into the room and now you're terrified, right? And now your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. This is your fight or flight system. So all systems are no longer normal. So everything that you consider to be normal as far as body functions go, maybe to help you kind of remember what the sympathetic nervous system does, the effects of it anyways in your body, think of it that way. So whatever's normal, this is the opposite. Okay, so as we continue talking about the sympathetic nervous system, some things to consider. Number one is that there's different names that can go by. For example, the thoracolumbar division and parasympathetic. If you remember last time, was your cervical sacral. Well, here these nerves come out through two portions of the spinal cord: your thoracic, the blue section, and the lumbar, the pink section just below it, just inferior to it. This is also part of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system all go under the autonomic nervous system, meaning you have no control over this. Okay, you might have some control over how you deal with fear, but as far as how your physiology, actually, well, let's not go there. Let's just say that you have no control over it at all, okay? Like you have no control over how your eyes dilate, how your heart rate increases, or you stop digestion or production of saliva. So this is your sympathetic nervous system. So these are the different names that they can be called. Just understand that you need to know all of them. So let's look at how this sympathetic nervous system works, because it's, as you might imagine, it's different than the parasympathetic. So you're going to have your preganglionic neurons that come out of the thoracic and the lumbar. There we are. Sorry, what came out of order. So you have your preganglionic neurons that come out of your thoracic, and you'll notice that the preganglionic neurons, before they reach the ganglion, the cell bodies where they're going to pass on that signal to another neuron, they're shorter. They're considerably shorter than the parasympathetic. In the parasympathetic, your preganglionic neurons essentially reached at the front doorstep of the effector muscle or organ target cell that it's going to reach. Here, it barely reaches outside of the spinal cord before it synapses with a postganglionic neuron, a non-myelinated neuron, and that postganglionic neuron is much longer than the preganglionic. So that's one of the differences that you'll notice from parasympathetic. And of course, it affects the same organ systems. Like it affects your breathing, it affects your eye dilation, your saliva production, your parotid glands, your mandibular, sublingual glands, so everything that produces saliva or digestive enzymes, dilation of the pupils, heart rate, breathing, your digestion. So the same systems, it affects the same things. It's innervated just a little bit differently. Its pathway is a little different. Okay. So again, it'll affect your liver. Your liver will produce more glucose because now you're scared and you're running or you're fighting. So you need all that extra energy to do what you got to do. Your digestion stops both at the stomach and at the intestinal level. So you're no longer digesting. Your sphincters will relax, so hopefully you don't have a full bowel or urine. You might pee yourself or defecate on yourself. You might have heard of the stories of somebody doing that when they're petrified. This is why. So all systems, again, are not normal. Otherwise, in any normal setting, your sphincters, everything is kind of closing up and allowing you to decide when to use the restroom. So let's take a look at these neurons. Take a closer look at these neurons in any case, and how they synapse with each other. Okay, so again, we're looking at the preganglionic, the blue, and the postganglionic on the red. Taking a closer look. So again, that preganglionic neuron, that myelinated neuron, it still has the same neurotransmitter as your parasympathetic nervous system. It has acetylcholine. So that means if it has acetylcholine as a neuroreceptor, or as a neurotransmitter, the receptor is going to be nicotinic. Okay, Now, where it differs here, as that axon, as that action potential travels down the postganglionic neuron, the red, now you have a different type of neurotransmitter. You have an androgenic neurotransmitter, norepinephrine. So if it has norepinephrine and androgenic, then that means the receptors are androgenic. So, just consider how, your system is in full flight. It's totally stimulated right at the fight or flight. So your adrenaline is kicking. This is where that it's helpful to remember that term. Now, one of the things here, like your adrenal gland, actually, there's a single connection. That neuron that connects your central nervous system to the adrenal gland, which will produce that adrenaline, there's actually just one single neuron. It's not actually synapsing with a postsynaptic, a postganglionic neuron. It's just a single system. So that might be helpful to remember as well. Whereas all the other ones, you have a preganglionic short and then a longer postganglionic neuron. But in any case, now here's the thing though, is that not every one of your sympathetic postganglionic neurons has norepinephrine. Some of them do have still acetylcholine, meaning that it has a nicotinic receptor at the end of the target cell as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. So the action, let me back up a little bit actually. So the action potential will travel from the central nervous system to the through the preganglionic neuron, and it's really short. So now that signal needs to be passed on to the postganglionic neuron. So the acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter, will go across to the nicotinic receptors, and now the action potential is at the postganglionic neuron. It travels down the postganglionic neuron, hitting the norepinephrine. So now norepinephrine will be released, and it will synapse to the target cell, and it will attach itself to the androgenic receptors. And again, these it can be in the eye, the salivary glands, heart, lungs, liver, stomach, intestines, your kidneys to stop urination, your urinary bladder, your whatever the case may be. So all systems are go at this point. Okay. So again, just to kind of differentiate your sympathetic at the top from the parasympathetic at the bottom, preganglionic are longer neurons, and they're also myelinated. It's not shown there, but they're myelinated. And they have acetylcholine on both ends, meaning they have nicotinic receptors on the postganglionic and then muscarinic receptors on the target cell. Whereas in the sympathetic nervous system, you have nicotinic, acetylcholine, but then you have androgenic receptors at the end of the target cell for that. Now, some also do have muscarinic, acetylcholine receptors and neurotransmitters also, but for the most part, they're androgenic. Okay? Alright, so here we are sympathetic, short preganglionic, and long postganglionic. And the top is showing parasympathetic. Okay, just remember again that your sympathetic nervous system is innervated by your thoracic and your lumbar regions of the spinal cord. Okay, so just to kind of summarize the effects of the parasympathetic nervous system. So we're looking at the eyes. They are dilated, right? The iris, the pupils will dilate, they open up, okay, become more alert to allow more light to come in, so you have a better reaction to what's going on. Okay, your airways will dilate and your respiratory system, allowing more air, so you can have more oxygen to come in. Your muscles will burn more, they will burn more sugar, more glucose, because the liver will produce more glucose, so that you can have the energy to fight or flight. Heart rate will increase, again, for the same reason as before, to increase blood flow to all systems. Here, I wasn't showing your glands earlier, but here's your salivary glands, your parotid gland, and your submandibular glands. Okay, so these will cease to produce their gastric juices. And then again, your liver will produce more glucose. Your digestive system, your stomach, will cease to digest. And your large intestine again. So all systems are no longer a go. Nothing is normal anymore. So again, this is just a summary of what is happening in the sympathetic nervous system. And finally, your airways will dilate, so allowing more oxygen in your lungs. And of course, your heart. I think I already mentioned that already. Your heart will increase in heart rate. to pump more blood to all your systems. Okay, so again, that's just some of the things. Again, your adrenal glands that sit just above the kidneys will produce more adrenaline, and it will go directly into the blood circulation to give you that added strength that you need, stamina to fight or flight. Okay, guys, thanks for watching and good luck in your study.